Hello, my name is Elefterios Kechagioglou and I'm the director of the Plus Petit Cirque du Monde in Bagneux, in the suburbs of Paris. I'm very glad to participate in this conference, even though I could not be with you this afternoon in Novi Sad because it's during our big festival. The history of Le Plus Petit Cirque du Monde is very linked with territorial development. I think this maybe is the main reason why I have been invited to speak as a keynote speaker for this question: how circus arts can favor territorial development. I think it's an important question and a real question, because for the 30 past years there have been a lot of experience all around Europe, but also all around the world, where circus arts has been linked in questions of territorial development and urban regeneration. Let's give you first some elements about our project. So, as you have seen in our video, we have a beautiful building and we are situated in a quite disadvantaged area in the suburb of Paris. The story of Le Plus Petit Cirque du Monde started 30 years ago by people, inhabitants of the area. It's an industrial town with a lot of people coming from the working class, and for all these years there will be a lot of citizens' initiatives in order to bring transformation. That's why also we have this name, Le Plus Petit Cirque du Monde, what it means, the smallest circus in the world. Today, this question of smallest is not anymore true, because we are a quite big organization, but we wanted to keep this question of what is small, what is important, how can we work with children, young people, and how with small initiatives can we bring important transformations in our area. So we work in the field of contemporary circus. Today we have 33 equivalent of full-time employees and a budget of 2,300,000 euro per year. Our business model is based both on public funding, 51%, private funding, 10%, and almost 40% for our own income. We work both on supporting professional artists in order that they can build their performances. They can build also their work with the local community. We work also as a community center where young people and children and people from the local area, they can come for free and they can learn acrobatics, parkour, free running, urban dancing and other activities. We have also a curriculum for young people that would like to become professional artists. So we have a preparatory school for young people from 18 to 25, and then they can integrate superior level art schools. And then we work also now for the 5 past years on how our project can bring urban regeneration of the area. Our area has been impacted by public housing, because more of 80% of our area is built on public housing, and so it was important how can we interfere on urban regeneration. Let's start what is important to give you some elements of our project. The first question we can see is about how can we have a strong and effective project which is based on direct relations with the community and the territory. My own experience is that in these kind of areas where there are big challenges about social and economic issues, we could not build an artistic project without these questions of link with the community. Let me explain that. In these areas, what is important is when the artistic project will meet the needs and the dreams and the will of the people. It's very important to work on this way. The needs are in different kinds. Of course, we all need to have some times of recreation, we all need to learn things, we all need to communicate, but what we most link is to bring links with the other people. So I think this is very important to work with the community. To give an example, we started as a circus organization, but we live in an area where people are coming from all around the world. They're coming from northern parts of Africa, they're coming also from the western parts, from the overseas territories of France, like West Indian. We come also from the Indian Ocean. So it was important to see what is circus for the community. And for the community, circus was most like something traditional art with animals and let's say white collar artists. So we started to see what was important for the young people in the area, and then we discovered that a lot of the young people in the area were doing hip-hop, breakdance, and so we created links between circus art and, for example, breakdance and hip-hop. Then also it was important to see that nowadays a lot of people are practicing urban acrobatics like free running, parkour. So that was another issue. Then we understood also that there was a lot of questions of identity, of where the people were coming from. That was important to link with the origins of all these communities. And then we started a lot of cooperations with artists coming all around the world, especially from Africa, the Caribbean, and then to see, in this case, how can we link with the local cultures. That means that we opened also to the musical tradition of this area. We have been working with musicians coming from all this area, and we opened to other fields of cooperation. This is an important point to see, to understand the territory. What are the needs of the territory? Our territory needed something strong in order to link the people. We're in an area where there are not so many cafes, there are not so many opportunities to see performances, and people, they have low income. So we started to find other ways to bring art for free. People in the local area, most of them, they don't pay, they can come for free, and we organize activities where they can see performances, they can meet the artists, they can practice their circus art, or they can learn something, and all this that for free. But this was not enough. It was important also to create links, to go and meet people. So this question of how to link the circus arts with the territorial development, that means first to understand what is the territorial development in our area. This question of negotiation with the stakeholders and opening to new stakeholders is very important. Let me say that for my 25 years of experience in this field, I can see, I've been also an artist, that as artists sometimes we have a problem in order to negotiate and discuss with policymakers, because of course we are very keen of our art, we are very keen about our independency, and we want to stay a little bit in the marge. But this question of marginal is nowadays maybe to reconsider. All around Europe and all around the world, we know that we have to rethink urban regeneration. We know we have to rethink territorial development, because we have very important issues as climate change, as urban regeneration, as a question of mixity between people coming from different social and economic backgrounds. So I think it's very important in this question of territorial development to understand what are the decisions that are made by the local authorities, the city, the local government, the region, the national level. And then to discuss. I think it's important to have an open discussion and to cooperate, to understand what are the main goals, the main issues, the main challenges of this political decision, but also the other actors. What are the other actors? Of course, we have the private companies that are in one area. They can play a very important role because they want a very secure environment. They want to work in order, of course, their own profit, but because of this question of social responsibility, more and more private companies would like to bring some to the community. So it's important also to discuss with them and see what can we achieve together. And of course, let's say the society, the organization, the association, the citizens, what they want to achieve, what kind of projects we have in our areas, how can we work with them. I don't think there is a secret in order to influence politics. I think the most important one is that we have to cooperate, we have to make visible what we do. We have to invite, of course, policymakers, the community to see our work. We have to listen to their also questions, remarks, and of course, on the other hand, because I think there are some policymakers here, of course, for the politicians and policymakers, it's important to come and see, to observe what is happening, and to understand that maybe today's issues, challenges need more cooperation. Nobody can decide by their own how to transform. We need the cooperation between the sectors. It's very important, the question of the building. You have seen in our film, our beautiful building. Now I'm in the old part of this. You can see the building here, 28 meters high, built by famous architects. This question of the building, which is also monumental, but it was quite cheap in terms of costs of building, has been a landmark. It's very important, this question of a venue. Why? First, of course, because it's a question of this of sustainability. A building means that the project is there to stay. It could be also a big top. This is also the issue of CIRCUS. We have a big top first, but the building after it's very important. It's important, of course, for the community and the people, because there is a permanent place where things can happen. It's important also as a question of a center of activities. I can explain myself. When we are in a place in the city, it's important to work at one center. It's also important because CIRCUS is also a mobile activity that we work all around the city, all around the area, that our artists, our outreach activities could go all around the region, all around the area, and work not only the building. But the building is this question of landmark. People, they can come, they can see something different, and of course, having a building in this way is an important sign on architecture, on urban regeneration. This question of linking territorial development and urban regeneration, I think, it changed perspectives, because public and private stakeholders and policymakers understand that in order to regenerate, we need this kind of centers, of buildings, also to demonstrate that we are in a change, that we don't work only about housing, we don't work only about creating offices for private companies, but also space where the people can meet. So I think this is the question, how circus arts can be the center of the encounter, where people, they can meet with each other. At this question, the impact is very strong. What happened in this area for 20-25 years, it has been a place where there was a lot of drugs dealing, where people from other areas of the town and other areas from the region were not willing to come, and we can see that for the past 5 years, people have been coming more easily. Of course, it's a global strategy, because there are other regeneration happened in the local area and very close to our center. So that changed this question of ghetto. It's not ghetto anymore. People can come easily, they can feel safe, they can feel secure, but also people, and it's very important from the local community, they can see that things have changed, that they have space that is more qualitative, where they can they can have activities, and they can be proud. This is a question a lot about these areas that are disadvantaged, and people are feeling very upset about living in this area. This question of being proud of a building, of an area, it's very important. In that case, I think CIRCUS is really a highlight for urban regeneration, because CIRCUS is about a dream, is about this question of a big building, big top, so it gives really a strong image of an urban architecture. The question of sustainability, of course, comes very closely. I think to obtain sustainability of this kind of project, the project should be built together, the cooperation between an artistic organization and the stakeholders. Here, our stakeholders are the Ministry of Culture, the city of Bagneux, the local government, the region, but also private companies and private funders. These stakeholders, they work with us, and we are very keen to understand what also are their objectives. We are very independent because we understand what they do. So I think this is the main important thing, to see that we have to understand what are the policies of every level, from the city to the government, from the private funder to the private companies, and from the question of the citizens and the local organization. And if we understand, then we can build something more sustainable in terms of financial development, but also in terms of adaptability. Maybe this is a main word about what is adaptability. Adaptability doesn't mean to lose independence. It means that we can develop new kinds of activities. And let's say that nowadays it's important in these areas not only to deliver maybe artistic activities or cultural activities, but also activities that are important for the community. To give you an example, when we have been building the building, we made an open for work time of construction. So during this time, we have been understanding what were the needs of the community. They want a space where they can meet. They want a space where they can discuss. They want a space where they can just come and have a coffee, a tea, or something to eat. So all these questions, see how this space could be like a third cultural space. Third cultural space could mean a space where everything could happen. A space where not only artistic activities but also activities for the community can happen. This is also a very important part. International cooperation. I think we are here during an international European seminar, and international cooperation is a very important part, I think, for this question of circus and territorial development. Why? First, and this is also my experience for the last 20 years, we learn a lot through international cooperation. We have been connected with more than 40 organizations all around the world. I have been initiating with other partners the creation of Caravan Circus Network, an international network about social circus. We are members of Circus Strada. We are members also of Trans-Europe ALS, which is a network about independent cultural centers that work, a lot of them in abandoned space. The first reason why this international cooperation is important is because we learn a lot from other experience. We can see what happened in every country, analyze the context, and see how and why should we develop this kind of activities. How can we reach this kind of communities? How can we work, for example, with people with special needs? How can we work with migrants? How can we fit the criteria in order to develop a sustainable project with a European grant? The second reason about, of course, international cooperation is to see what kind of exchange of benefits can we share. We have been working for a lot of time with international organizations, for example, in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, there are French territories, but also we've been working with Jamaica, with other islands, to see how in these areas can we work with artists in order to transform an area. How can we build small-scale and medium-scale activities that brings knowledge to the young people, that brings this community, that brings more self-confidence, and how with the local authorities can we build long-term projects. Another example concerning the Balkan region is our cooperation that we started with Elefterios Capital Culture 2023. I know Novi Sad will be a Capital Culture in 2022, so I think these are also very important opportunities of transformation. Our project with LSEs, I think, is very interesting because in this case, territorial development and circus arts are very linked. So the project is split in two parts. One is called Climbing Eleusis, and the other is Revisiting the Landscapes of Eleusis. For 3 years, we will have residencies both in Eleusis and here in the suburbs of Paris. We have artists, dance and circus background from Greece and from France, and musicians, and they're going to cooperate in order to, of course, develop performance. They are going to open the rehearsals to the community, but they are going to also have a kind of commission to work on disadvantaged landscapes and areas. How artistic work can influence the landscape. In Eleusis, we're going to a place that has been abandoned for several years. We're going to work in the public space, and we are going to bring a new kind of discussion, of interaction with young people, with people from the local area. We will use both performances but also video in order to have images of the landscapes of the suburbs of Athens, Eleusis, and the landscapes of the suburbs of Paris. Then interviews to see how the artists, how the performance, how the people from the area, they can feel what is happening, they can express the change they can see. There's a lot about image. Both the suburbs of Paris and the suburbs of Athens suffer from this question of no attractivity. Thousands and millions of people visit Paris and Athens, but how many of them are visiting Eleusis and the suburbs of Paris? So this question, what is remarkable, what is beautiful, what is sustainable, what is creates attractiveness, is in the center of the project. And in parallel, we invite a famous French architect, Patrick Bouchin, and urban planner that built our building, to make these workshops about landscape and about revisiting the landscapes of Eleusis. Eleusis has been this very important city in ancient Greece, about the mysteries of Eleusis, but it's also a very important city now because it's a very industrial area with a lot of challenges. People from other areas of Greece, they never go there, although it's a beautiful city and although it has a lot of treasures. So this question of revisiting the landscapes and rebuilding the image of a city is important, and maybe is one of the most important things in how CIRCUS can revisit the image, first of all, of what is a sustainable, a vibrant city, not only for attract tourists, but especially for really being attractive for the people living there. The question is also about this question of more sustainable, let's say, visitors. Can we develop the same tourist industry all around the world, or shall we develop another kind of possibility to visit these areas? That means that people, they can come and they can have experiences, they can experiment another way to live there. So our purpose in this cooperation between our organization and the Capital Culture of Eleusis 2023 is, of course, to experiment and maybe as a legacy to find a way to build a cooperation program between France and Greece, where between Eleusis and Bagneux, and of course, and this is also an open call to you if you're interested to build cooperations with us, to open this project to other countries in the Balkan area and to see how can we really link this question of artistic development and territorial development. We are nowadays in a moment of our history where this question can really be linked. For the conclusion, I could say that in a way what we call gentrification is another maybe negative way how art is linked to urban and territorial development. So what we call gentrification is started from, of course, especially in New York, where artists were coming to areas where have been disadvantaged and dangerous, with a lot of drugs dealing and whatever, and they came there because they have very cheap rent and whatever, and because they were coming there, the area was becoming more trendy, and then real estate came and the prices went higher and people came there. So the artists play an important role on that, but maybe in a more negative sense, because through this gentrification process, people from the local area are obliged to leave because rents and the land is becoming very expensive, and they have to move to another way. What maybe we can try to do today is that together with real estate, with public and private stakeholders, policymakers and artists, and CIRCUS is very strong in this way, to rethink this model. And there are a lot of experience all around Europe about this question of rethinking the model. How can we build sustainable areas where people, they can work there, they can live there, they can have links with the others and have access to culture, and they can travel even in their area, they can see their area, their landscape in a new way. So I think there are a lot to do, there are a lot of experience to discuss. There are a lot of interesting projects all around the world that of course we can visit, we can understand, and we can build this experience between different kinds of organizations. So thank you for listening, and I hope this conference will already lead to some first results for Novi Sad, of course. So I wish you a very interesting and challenging capital culture for 2022, and I hope I can come and visit. Thank you very much.